There are moments in human history that feel like a door slamming shut. A torch lowered. A scream swallowed by time. The destruction of the Library of Alexandria is remembered as one of those moments, a night when humanity may have lost its greatest collection of knowledge, perhaps never to be restored. But what really happened? Did it all vanish in a single blaze? Or did the loss unfold slowly, like embers dying in the wind? Tonight, we step back into ancient Alexandria to uncover the truth behind one of history's most haunting mysteries. The birth of a dream. In the 3rd century BCE, under the rule of Ptolemy Isoter and later his son Ptolemy II Philadelphus, a bold vision was born in the thriving city of Alexandria. It was not enough for Egypt to be powerful. It had to be intellectual. It had to become the mind of the world. The Library of Alexandria was part of a larger institution called the Mouseion of Alexandria, the Temple of the Muses. It was more than a library. It was a research center, a think tank, a sanctuary for scholars from every corner of the known world. Poets, mathematicians, astronomers, engineers, philosophers, they lived there, studied there, debated there. Ships entering Alexandria's harbor were reportedly searched for books. Any manuscript found was copied. The original was kept. The copy was returned. Knowledge was not just valued, it was pursued aggressively. Estimates suggest the library may have held anywhere from 40,000 to over 400,000 scrolls. Works by Homer, Sophocles, Euclid, Archimedes, and countless others were preserved. Entire civilizations spoke through papyrus. And then, something happened. The first fire, Julius Caesar's campaign. In 48 BCE, the Roman general Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria. He was entangled in Egypt's internal conflict between Cleopatra and her brother Ptolemy XIII. During the siege, Caesar set fire to ships in the harbor to block the Egyptian fleet. Ancient sources like Plutarch claim the fire spread beyond the docks. Flames consumed warehouses. Smoke filled the sky. But did it reach the library? Some historians believe part of the library's collection, particularly scrolls stored in nearby warehouses, was destroyed. Others argue that the main library building survived. The evidence is fragmented. No single ancient source definitively states that Caesar burned the entire Library of Alexandria. If there was destruction, it may have been partial. Yet the myth of a single catastrophic night may have begun here. The slow erosion of an empire. After Egypt became a Roman province, Alexandria remained a major intellectual hub. Scholars like Theon of Alexandria and his daughter Hypatia continued intellectual traditions centuries later. There was also a daughter library housed in the Serapeum of Alexandria, a grand temple complex. By the 4th century CE, tensions between pagan traditions and the rising tide of Christianity were escalating. In 391 CE, under orders linked to Roman Emperor Theodosius I's anti-pagan edicts, the Serapeum was destroyed by Christian mobs. Some historians argue that whatever remained of the library's collections may have been housed there and perished in this event. But again, no definitive proof confirms a single moment when all knowledge was lost. Instead, we see a pattern: neglect, political instability, ideological conflict. Knowledge does not always die in fire. Sometimes it dies in indifference. The final blow? The Arab conquest. Another popular story claims that when Arab forces conquered Alexandria in 642 CE, the Caliph Umar ordered the remaining books destroyed, allegedly declaring that if the books agreed with the Quran, they were unnecessary, and if they disagreed, they were dangerous. It is a dramatic story. It is also likely apocryphal. The earliest versions of this claim appear centuries after the conquest. Many modern historians dismiss it as legend rather than fact. By the time of the Arab arrival, the original Great Library had likely already vanished. What we are left with is not a single night of flames, but centuries of erosion. What was truly lost? We often imagine shelves collapsing, scrolls igniting, philosophers weeping in the smoke. But the greater tragedy may be more abstract. Lost were potentially complete works of ancient playwrights. Lost were treatises on engineering that could have accelerated technological progress. Lost were astronomical observations that might have changed scientific timelines. Lost were alternative philosophies that might have shaped civilizations differently. Consider this: Eratosthenes calculated the Earth's circumference with astonishing accuracy in the 3rd century BCE. Archimedes pioneered principles of physics centuries ahead of his time. How many other breakthroughs were recorded, and then erased? Some historians speculate that knowledge of steam power, advanced mechanics, or even early industrial concepts may have existed in embryonic form. If preserved and developed, could the Renaissance have come 1,000 years earlier? Could the so-called Dark Ages have been avoided? We will never know. The myth of one night. The destruction of the Library of Alexandria was likely not a single inferno. It was a long decline marked by war, politics, religious upheaval, and the fragility of institutions. But psychologically, we condense it into one night because it feels easier to understand tragedy that way. A single spark. A single villain. A single irreversible moment. Reality is more unsettling. Civilizations lose knowledge slowly. Archives decay. Funding disappears. Scholars scatter. Ideas fade. The Library of Alexandria becomes less a story of fire, and more a warning. The modern parallel. Today, we pride ourselves on digital permanence. The internet feels immortal. Cloud storage feels invincible. But imagine a massive solar flare. A coordinated cyber attack. A global infrastructure collapse. How much of our knowledge would vanish? How much exists only in fragile digital form? The Library of Alexandria reminds us that knowledge requires protection, physical, institutional, and cultural. We are not immune to forgetting. Why this story still haunts us? The loss of the Library of Alexandria is symbolic. It represents lost potential. It represents the fragility of progress. It represents how close humanity can come to greatness, and how easily it can slip backward. We mourn not only what was destroyed, but what might have been. The truth is, humanity did not lose its greatest knowledge in one night. It lost it over generations of complacency, conflict, and change. And that may be even more terrifying. Because it means it can happen again. The Library of Alexandria stands as both inspiration and caution. It reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge is one of humanity's noblest ambitions, and one of its most vulnerable achievements. We may never know the full extent of what was lost. But we know this: the dream of Alexandria, a world united by learning, still matters. The question is not whether the library burned. The question is whether we are protecting our own. If you found this exploration compelling, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive into history's greatest mysteries. Share this video with someone who loves ancient history, and leave a comment below. Do you think the Library of Alexandria was destroyed in one catastrophic night, or slowly over centuries? Your perspective shapes the conversation. Let's keep the knowledge alive.